Right, I've started recording the meeting. It's 10 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. I see we've got 5 participants here. I don't know your background or how much you've got experience with the software that we will be seeing this morning. It's part of BIM 360, Autodesk BIM 360. It's a suite of products that is based around the BIM process. I know we're lucky enough to have Lawrence Henning with us this morning as well. He's director of the BIM Institute. And I know that he's also got extensive knowledge and experience with real world projects. So hopefully he can also add his extensive knowledge to the chat this morning and maybe ask some questions. So it's known as project management within the suite. And specifically, we are looking at our agenda, which is about how to set up for requests for information, submittals, as well as meeting minutes. The idea, again, is that everything is cloud-based. So there is one source of truth, which everybody can reference as long as you have one of those licenses. There's 2 things to set up. The one is for a request for information workflow and also for submittal managers. I've prepared a video. I know that the internet will not allow me to do this live. It's a bit slow, so I've prepared this in advance. But please feel welcome again to just add some questions in the chat board if you have any questions. All right, so that is the full suite that's available to us at the moment in Project Admin. We'll find that we can look at our members and the services if we subscribe to them. They are 2 dummy accounts that I'm looking at the moment. And the services at the top, you can see them listed. One of them is project management. And I've assigned BIM 1 and BIM 2 user status on that service. That means that they can use that service on this project. The project is, in this case, indicated incorrectly as 2020. It's actually 2021. We'll see that in a moment, but the method is the same. And then within project management, just a note, if you do use these technology, if you are on the cloud, it pays to have a good internet connection. About 10 megabits up and down would be preferable. And there you go, or minimum, I would say. There's the request of information workflow. It's based around creators, managers, and reviewers. And this might come within a 1-step or a 2-step reviewing process. So depending on the project or the complexity of the workflow, one would apply whichever one of those is relevant. And then one can assign either users, roles, or companies to these RFI roles, the creator, manager, or reviewer. And there you can see how the creator, the manager, and reviewer, and then back to the manager and the creator to close out the RFI. Now that is the most simple setup. The more extensive setup, or a more complex or a larger company where more than one reviewer is necessary. Now, there is the extended workflow. There you can see it's a bit more complex. So there's more than one reviewer involved. And once both reviewers have seen the document, then it may be closed out in the normal fashion. And this logical flow diagram indicates that. There you can see all users, all by role, or by company. And you are able to apply these as required. So once you've done that, you are set up for RFI workflows. And then we also get to submittals, where we can indicate who would be a submittal manager. And those would be guys that can submit packages for review and also close them. So it would be somebody at the head of a team. And with that, the setup is complete for project management. The workflow routing, we've just had a look at, and then we're going to have its status and approvals and to maintain an audit of these issues as well. And then here, based on the role of the person, whether they are creators, managers, or reviewers, co-reviewer, there you can see the permissions that they have. This is all contained in the help files, very useful to learn from the help files. Now we'll have a look at creating an actual RFI workflow. So unfortunately, I'm unable to show you an RFI in a real company. So in this instance, I took a hypothetical situation. It is meant for where subcontractors, one of the reasons why we have RFIs is for subcontractors when they don't have proper or sufficient documentation to complete installations to ask for further information. It's one of the reasons. In this case, a hypothetical. Could we use the facade of a building to generate electricity by changing out the glass, which is more a design issue. Typically, these would be on site where guys have questions. But we can use these RFIs in various different ways. The method would stay the same. One can link in attached documents within either the plans or the project files. In this case, a PDF which was extracted from a published Revit file which was uploaded. So we're just looking, doesn't have the description fields in the documents there. So I'm just going to have a look at that document and see which one it is that I need to use. And I find that the BIM 360 apps, it's good to have a few tabs open on one's browser at once. Then one can cross-reference drawings and see what is happening in different parts of the subscriptions that one has. So this will now open a document to apply the RFI in. We are indicating a position for the RFI, a typical or a specific position. One can give a location description. Now in this case, we went from the RFI and then we also added a document where we added a pin. The alternative method is to open the document and then add the pin. These are metadata with which one can also sort the RFIs. Welcome, Kwesi and Chris. It's nice to have you joining us. If you've missed a bit of the presentation, we had a quick look this morning at how to set up the services for BIM 360 build, new generation Autodesk BIM 360 service to which one may have a subscription. It's meant for the construction phase of a building primarily. And we are looking at creating RFIs. Here we can see opening the document directly will also expose the request for information. So one source of truth available to everyone that can open this document, visible. One can toggle them on and off at the bottom of the screen. That's true of issues and markups as well. So if they become overbearing on the visual, then we can also edit them, edit the information, the attachments, and see the history of the RFI in the activity. There is the picture that we added, and one can open that. So although I'm not able to show that to you at the moment, I've tested this with a year or so ago. I tested this with a large architect where we used an iPad and then pretended to be on site. And that worked very well because one can upload these images directly from one's device. So if one is on site, site manager or subcontractor, or depending on one's role, one has this technology, then one can be on site, take pictures and upload. So one of the ways that we used it back then to test is to see if we have any questions about the actual service. And then I would research and answer these questions using the service itself. So whatever information we would like to receive from on-site, maybe if you're in a retail environment, quite often you have the situation there. We can just see we're changing out the user now to user BIM1. It's no longer Paul, and we go to project management. That even if you are a retailer and you have on-site issues that you need to look at and resolve, then this would be a great application to use because it's always connected. So here we can see because we've defined our workflow, we're able to submit to a reviewer. This is now the management. So 1 is the management, 2 is the reviewer. If we had a second reviewer, that might be 3. I've got 2 dummy accounts, so this is 1, the manager. Again, we can see all the information that we've put into that RFI is available, as well as who did what on the RFI in time. And there we can submit. If I was certain of the answer and I felt that I didn't need a reviewer, then I could also close that RFI myself without forwarding it. And that's all within the logical workflow. There we can see we've submitted to the reviewer. Next step, we signed in as the reviewer. Number 2 is the opening of the RFI. Again, just quickly to show you that all information is still available. That is the power of this technology. Whoever has access to the RFI can see all the information. The reviewer might be the contractor or subcontractor responsible for generating construction drawings for the guys to install on site. If they have any questions. In this case, it's a preventative measure, but it might have originated with somebody on site. Now we're back at the manager's position, or the manager's role. You can see that the reviewer has answered what is necessary. And then if we are happy with all of the information there, we can close and distribute the answer to the rest of our team. Alternatively, we could return the RFI to the reviewer. Now we're in the user again. This is now on a creator level. And we can see that the RFI has closed and distributed. One of the items that I did not discuss during this video or show during this video is the RFI number. You'll see number 1. That's our ID is number 1. To properly sort RFIs, the indication is that one should use dots between as a indicator that one has a sub-level within the numbering system. And one can also export. So I think this is maybe just quickly pause it. This is the sum total of the feedback you would be able to get out of an RFI at the moment from a download onto a PDF. You would not have access to images on this PDF, so you would not be able to print out the images, the attachments, the pictures that you take. So in this case, that's what you would be left with. That was one of the issues that the architect was critical of. But if the contractors also have access to the service, then they would be able to access the data in the cloud. You are able to edit the position of the pin that was placed on the plan. In this case, we can delete and hide, but if the RFI was still active, we would be able to move. In this case, we can hide. So once we're happy that the RFI has been managed, then we can hide the push pin. Going on through to submittals, we can create submittal packages, and assign project team members to submit information to submittals package, and then review and approval and distribution workflows for submittal packages. Here we have project management again, this time on the submittals tab. you will have to excuse my ignorance with regards to specification numbers in the architectural sector. I would suggest that there would be some company or standard to follow. I think one of the important points that were made at a recent conference I attended was that the important thing is to start using the technology and that it comes from practice. Right, so there we can create a new item, give it a sub-spec section, title. Now, items are individual items and packages can be a collection of items that we can use. So we can execute bulk actions on multiple items. That is what the package is for. It's not to be confused with a package that is created within the collaboration module of BIM 360. So those of you familiar with the design capability of BIM 360, it's not the same terminology, it's the same wording, but it means something different. Got some date time pickers for us to choose the relevant times at which we have to close out this, and we can also add attachments. That is a PDF, and one can also add, sorry, that's a JPEG, and we can also add PDFs and some other file types. I haven't tested them all extensively yet. It's also not a live link to a document within the project. One has to upload the document into the submittal. There is a process that we'll see shortly that on return, if a revision for the submittal is required, then the documents may be re-uploaded for revision number 2, 3, and 4. It starts with 0 and then carries on to 1, 2, and 3 after that. One may only forward submittals that are ready. You'll see that in a moment. So here we're just adding some more files. There it failed, but it will on re-upload past. There they are uploaded. We're submitting that to the manager. There we are now signed in as the manager. And under project management, we can go to submittals. So submittals would be a, for want of a better name, a vetting process of documentation standards. Whatever documentation is required on site before the time, so we can meet that timelessly. I think in the industry, just in time. So make sure that the information that we need is there. So there we can see it's required, but only the open one will be able to submit them. So in the bulk options, if we had a submittal, there we can see we are only able to submit once all items are open. And then we can bulk submit to person responsible. In this case, it's a dummy account. For me, these are still baby steps. That's why I use dummy accounts. And one may also have Autodesk or ask Autodesk for a demonstration where they might have a more real world example of where this might be used. Unfortunately, I do not own a construction company. One thing that I love is that the information is always available. Always one source of truth. Now, on traditional projects, the costing, I'm going to let the video run in the background, but the clash detection on its own, in other words, 3D design, and finding out where clashes are, those or that process might save, depending on the project, might save up to 1/5 of the construction cost. Not a large project. This would already pay for some software licenses, but it's not as simple as that, of course, because there are competing software packages. The important point to realize about BIM 360 is that it is an Autodesk product. So there are advantages of leveraging the cloud against Revit, as well as some AutoCAD verticals and even AutoCAD itself. So if you are using Civil 3D, Plant 3D, then they cater better towards collaboration in comparison to some of the other packages that use industry foundation classes, IFC files. Now, BIM 360 can also accommodate IFC files, but in addition to that, it's Autodesk based. I think that would be the one great competitive advantage of BIM 360 over other packages. You can make a markup. In this case, we're looking at a details of a door. So pretending that we've got a door and that the door must have a floor or some detail that's going to come in there. The floor is not visible. And then we can save that markup. Now this is now as the reviewer, where we are giving feedback on the documentation saying that you're probably going to get an RFI coming out of this if you don't do the submittal properly to start with, if you don't get the information properly. Because when the guys are going on site and they have to install the door and they get to door number 10, then they're going to get a problem. Because there's no floor. You can see a variety of responses that might be given. And that could save everybody a lot of embarrassment and money. I think that's what everybody, I'm sure you are not attending this webinar for entertainment value. You are businessmen and you would like to use the technology to your advantage if possible, or at least know what is available. But this is another example of how the software might go towards aiding the project so that everybody understands what is going on within their specific region of responsibility. So in the following few minutes, unfortunately, I've uploaded the wrong file here. So we'll just see the same process repeated again, where the documentation is returned once more and forwarded once more. So somebody's uploaded the incorrect documentation again. They fixed it in the drawing, but it's not uploaded into the project. But thankfully, we've got formalized workflows, and so we are able to detect that this is indeed the case. And we're changing out to the manager role. We have to indicate a new revision. It's not clearly shown on this video, but in the blue top right, you can see create new revision. That is required if you want to update the file with a new file. Once one has uploaded that, one can then submit the new documentation to the manager. Now that's then the revision 1. But again, just to reiterate that unlike some of the workflows that we've seen in some of the other webinars, I know some of you were here for the clash detection, where that happened automatically from the shared files. This is very much a manual process. So the shifting of gears, you have to do yourself. It's not automatic. You have to upload these documents every time there's a revision. In this case, it wouldn't have been necessary for me to update the latest pictures because they were fine, but the PDF might have been updated. And as I discovered when I was making this movie this morning, I had uploaded the old PDF, unfortunately. So I'm still not seeing the flaw. So clearly there's an error with the architectural model still, or with the published PDF. Somewhere an error occurred, willfully or not. But I don't want to bore us to death, so we'll just run through it again quickly, and this time with the correct uploading of the drawing. But it's formalized, and that's great news for us. And if it wasn't formalized, we might not pick something like that up. Might get lost in email, in translation, in people phoning, so many different ways of communication, and it gets chaotic. Where these formalized processes help us to maintain decorum and follow protocol. Okay, so now we're on to revision 2. So we've had a change of guard. And here we will find the updated drawing where the floor is indeed shown. And you'll see how the markup is no longer part of this version, even though the document has exactly the same name. So because it's a manual approach, we have the markups that are unique or specific to the one revision or each revision as they occur. Then again, we can export them in PDF, just like with the RFIs. And there they are. So depending on the complexity, you would have one or more reviewers, and if they all agree to the documentation, then they would continue. And lastly, there's also meeting minutes. It's meant to create agenda items, to invite participants and track meeting minutes, and to assign specific action items to users, roles of companies, and track progress of items. I don't know if I showed that in too much detail, but I tested this with one of my colleagues. It's very rudimentary in the sense that it's meant, I suppose, as an electronic meeting record, but there's no, like what we are doing now, we are recording the session. There's none such on BIM 360, but at least the descriptions and meeting items are available to everybody online in one place. And what you can see on the item over there, where it says open, I think I might have not opened an issue here, but you can create or assign that to a specific person on attendee. Right. So here's just me entering some information without inviting anybody. I'm having my imaginary meeting here, and on the right hand side, you can see you can also add invitees. You can also make into presenters. So the organizer of the meeting can now invite the other parties. We can then discuss online what is required. We're going to have a look in private. So this person also is also privy to the conversation. And they would then counsel or create the meetings as required. They're not able to do anything because they haven't been granted right as a presenter yet. So here I'm back in, there we go. Now they're an organizer and switching out into their account. And you can see that we've got updated privileges. So now one can also change the status of the invitees. See the details. We can add attachments. We can export the meeting as well. So the same type of operations that we can execute against RFIs, submittals, and within meetings. Just to show that one can insert a file. In this case, it has to be uploaded from BIM 360 docs. It can't be uploaded from the desktop computer. It's not meant at all. One would first have to upload any documents onto the cloud before attaching that to a meeting. We're almost done with the presentation. I know we're on course for 10:45, which is around the corner. Here we can see we can export Marcus minutes. And now we can close this, we can reopen it, and we can also have a new meeting to follow up on this meeting. What it won't do is send out electronic invites and so on, and it won't show that to you on your home panel either. So it's going to be something like we are doing now, but when we enter information, we will all be present at the meeting and recorded as being present. And lastly, we've got some links if you want to take any, if you want to jot some of these down. The first one is the BIM 360 plan, or build rather, trial. Then there is the design. So I think on the 30th of this month, the extended trial comes to an end. Autodesk was great. They allowed people to use the trial for an extended period of time. For guys that are interested, I discovered a very interesting site, health.autodesk.com. That helps you to see the status of the servers on which your services are running. So it will tell you when maintenance might be scheduled, or whether the service is up and running or experiencing any issues. I know recently we had an instance where we've had cable breaks with the outside world. Those you would find out that it wouldn't be the server, but it was actually the infrastructure leading to it. And then we've got some great frequently asked questions with BIM 360. And so there are some great, and also an example of where Toyota has just recently transitioned also from work from home, where we've assisted over 100 employees of a company to quickly transition to 360. So in a nutshell, that's the presentation. If there are any questions, we can deal with those now. Try and do my best to answer your questions. I've still got your microphone switched on. You're welcome to type in any questions that you might have. Hi, Paul. We're going to get a copy of the presentation. Simiso, we are uploading the presentations online. I will send this out to you. I wonder if you can just forward me your email address. I don't know if I'm able to see that. I can see your name on TeamViewer. If you can perhaps just send that to me at my email or at our offices. I am paul@mgfx.co.za. And if you send me your email, I can forward it to you directly. Otherwise, it will be updated on our website. So I know we are uploading that onto our webinars. Let me just try and get that for you here. I can hear somebody's got their microphone switched on. Is that a question?
It's me, Paul, Lauren.
Oh, yes, Lauren.
Just a quick one. Thank you for the presentation. It was quite interesting. The first part, the first section of the RFI one, just a quick question. If you set up the role or assign roles with people's names in it, can you create your own role?
Just repeat the question, please. The audio is not that great.
Where the when the RFIs section was dealt with in the beginning,
Yes.
can you set up your own roles, or do you have to follow the given roles?
It's
Because
their
many
given,
times is pardon?
it's their given roles, correct. So we can have a look at that quickly.
So the question is, can you add your own role names?
No, not as far as I know, not with RFIs. Is that a particular need in the industry, Lawrence?
Well, yes, because there's not, I find that there's not just a BIM manager, there's a BIM coordinator, and where do you slot him in? There's not just one architect, there's two architects, there's an interior architect, there's a landscape architect, that type of thing.
So you can invite them per role or per company. When you are creating the RFI, there is a box where you can invite them. If we go there, under project management, you'll have to excuse my internet. It will be slow at this moment in time. Miso, this on the, you'll see that we've got our Autodesk, our Micrographics blog page. I think some of our
Are we supposed to see
blogs,
this on screen?
Are you seeing it on my screen?
No.
What are you seeing? Are you seeing the different page? My apologies. Just change. I hope I haven't had that screen on now forever. Can you guys see the screen now?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So this is the, we would probably have uploaded it into this area over here, but I'll get the link for you, Simiso, and I'll share it with you as long as I've got your email. But the links will be from the Micrographics website. Right. So here we've got the, if we create the RFI, then assign it to members. Then we can also ask for co-reviewers. And in this instance here, the company. It's not per company, it's per person. So you may add others, but there's no role as such. I think the region that you would have referred to would be project admin under your services or RFI workflows. You'll see that the workflow roles are only creator, manager, and reviewer. There's no option to change that.
Okay.
But just to speak to the question, or a workaround, is that you may invite others onto the RFI to review.
Okay.
Ultimately, in your case, I would go with the 5. Was it 4? Now you've got at least a reviewer 2. So for one, you'd have at least one extra kind of role, but the workflow would become more complex. So you'd be able to manage the core of what you need, but it is going to be more chaotic. Yeah, I think there's 4 roles in that one, not 5. So if it's necessary, we can create a case as well. I often recommend that we create cases and then ask the user community to vote on these. So if you feel that's something that we need to include, then that's great. And if you get the opportunity to use it on a project, then that's great. Lawrence, I think you would be one of the people with extensive experience with RFIs, also on different packages. So I take it as read that it's needed.
I would like to actually test this one. I haven't had a chance on this one as yet.
Okay.
You know, to try to break it. That's what I'll be trying to do.
That's great. So I think you know, that would be fantastic. You'd be most welcome. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? Kathy, welcome to you as well. I see you've joined us. Kathy, no, welcome. So unless there are any further questions, I think we can call it. And Samiso, just make sure that you send me a mail there. I'd like to forward you the link. We'll upload the presentation shortly. Shortly meaning in the next few days. And then you'll be able to access that later. All right, everybody, have a great day further. Thank you for attending the webinar. Much appreciated. And good luck during the lockdown. And keep safe and keep your family safe. And let's hope that we can open up soon and get the industry back on its feet. Thank you very much.
Thank you.